Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. Albert Fungnatius reporting for CBG International News. And thanking you viewers for joining us, we're about to hear from the great man himself, Mr. Aloysius Silal Know-It-All. You will be most privileged to listen to the address to this nation by this distinguished gentleman. I do believe he is here. Yes, the man himself, Mr. Aloysius Silal Know-It-All. Over to this gentleman for CBG International TV. I am Mr. Albert Fungnatius.
Mr. Not Mr. Doctor. Doctor Not Mr. Hi there. I am Dr. Aloysius Silal Know-It-All, a Roving ambassador for the United Nations. The UUN is utilizing my services to solve problems around the world because of my wide and varied background in diplomacy, government and finance. I am also well trained in palmistry, black arts, digitology and communications. In my work for the United Nations, I give advice and recommendations to countries and governments faced with problems of corruption, nepotism, miscommunication and wars, etc., etc. However, I am not paid by the UN. I am beholden to no one and I give advice and recommendation to all and sundry. And it is absolutely up to the individual or government to compensate me if they find my services worthy. My foundation, the Dr. Aloysius Silal Know-It-All Foundation, telecasts programs in several countries, and ordinary people who find the information and advice meaningful and helpful are encouraged to make a donation to this cause. At the end of the program, you will see a number where you can call in to pledge your contribution. The suggested donation is $50, not 50 US dollars. Please, please do not be constrained by this paltry amount. You can pledge more, much more for this information that would make your life and the nation fruitful and fulfilling. To give you an example of what I do, recently I was invited by the Prime Minister of England to offer advice on a problem of misinformation, half-truths, lies and more lies, blasphemy, hearsay and other dangerous distortions of facts. I advise the Prime Minister to act quickly and decisively to shut down the News of the World newspaper. This took a lot of guts to do, as this paper was around for more than 160 years. Imagine the horrors inflicted upon the people by this newspaper and its owner, the troll-like Rupert Murdoch. It was your humble servant, Dr. Aloysius Silal Know-It-All, who came to the rescue of the English people to shut down that vile outlet of pernicious drivel and let the truth prevail. For those of you who see a resemblance of this dastardly affairs in your own press, with a constant diet of lies and more lies, I would be acting against your own economic interest if I recommend the same course of action to your president. If I do so, all newspapers will have to cease publication, and the decline in newsprint would cause a serious shortage of toilet paper, which would be an environmental disaster if the waste matter is not removed forthwith. Not to mention, many prominent journalists would have a lot of free time on their hands and would resort to their famous pastime of rum drinking, followed by wife beating. One in particular would have enough time to make homemade ice cream using goat milk and sea salt. After my success with the Prime Minister, yours truly was invited to address the English Parliament on the question of homelessness and high unemployment that was caused by the closure of this newspaper. These lawmakers are truly the servants of the people and laid their plight before me. I considered and offered a simple and yet controversial solution to the problem. I suggested that the Parliament chase the Queen out of Buckingham Palace and hand it over to the ranks of the homeless. The Queen was not elected by the people, so she could live in a 2x4 room in a nursing home. Did these people who were elected to serve take my advice? No, the Queen is still around, but they chased my tail out of the country. Suffice it to say, they escorted me to the next flight and I flew to Washington, where I held lengthy meetings with Obama. That man has serious domestic and international problems. To solve all of his problems, I would need to take up residence in the White House. He has a pretty wife, and you could imagine what the American press would say about me living there. The first thing that we discussed was the deficit. You see, America owed China trillions of dollars, and Obama has to pay off the debt somehow or the other. I just came off the plane from England without being paid a cent by the Prime Minister or the Parliament, so I had to put an end to that discussion. I had to let him know there and then, Obama, that I had no money to loan him. If America can't pay China, you think they would pay me? I am very careful when I deal with world leaders. They somehow think that the Dr. Aloysius Seelal Know-It-All Foundation is a branch of the IMF. I didn't lend him money, but I gave him invaluable counsel. I assured him that owing China a lot of money is very advantageous for the US. China would never become an enemy or they would lose all their money. I know from personal experience that if you owe a man money, it is that man's duty and responsibility to maintain good relations with you. Now, if you don't want to repay, all you have to do is to become enemies and sever all ties and communications. I think he accepted that, because the next day he called the Dalai Lama to the White House to discuss the independence of Tibet, and that ticked off the whole of China. But Obama has another serious problem. Most of the people in the Republican Party believe he was not born in America. They believe he was born in Africa, Kenya. That is a serious problem for a man who is neither black nor white. But with the wealth of my knowledge, I was able to counsel him. My solution would satisfy both the domestic and the international interests of all of the Americans. I urge him to go before Congress and admit that he was born in Kenya. And as an African American president, make Kenya a state of the United States. Both the president and I agreed that this was a masterful plan. Al-Qaeda, the enemy of the US, is based in the Middle East and North Africa. And Kenya, as a US state, would be responsible for fighting Al-Qaeda. The president would solve all the domestic and international problems with my recommendations. While the fighting is going on in Kenya, the American homeland would be free from all terrorist acts. The Republicans would be happy to know that they were right when they suspected that they had an African president. We even decided on a name for Kenya, the Al-Qaeda state. The only problem now is Obama is happy and Al-Qaeda is after me. However, the problems of the world are bigger than I am. And as a roving United Nations ambassador, tomorrow I am slated to meet with the president and the opposition to chart a way forward to this nation. The meeting with the president will be short. I will assure him that out of respect for his position as champion of the earth, I pledge not to cut down the 2 palm trees in my grandmother's backyard, and will ask Norway to make a contribution to my foundation, and will relay set sum to his Swiss bank account. I will meet with the members of the opposition to choose a candidate who is suitable to be called opposition leader. I anticipate arguments, flying objects, insults, and F and S bombs. So I will propose an opposition leader for every day of the week. In this case, everyone will be happy. After this meeting, I will be reading palms under the Stabrook Market clock. So please come in your numbers so I can predict when you can be an opposition leader too. Thanks for watching, folks. And don't forget the number at the bottom of the screen. Call and make your pledge to make the world a better place. And thank you once again. This is your roving ambassador, Dr. Aloysius Silal Noitol, looking forward to your donation.